I get to introduce two people who are very special. And the first one, I'm going to make it weird, but Emma Lovewell. But many people know and love Emma Lovewell? Yes. Okay, so here's the weird story. So, and I don't know Amy Jo as well, but she's a fucking powerhouse. But this is, so Emma teaches Peloton, among many other things. I'm holding up her new book, which is in galley form, so I'm not allowed to, but you can take a picture to promote it before it comes out, and she has a TV show and everything, zillions of hyphens. But so I didn't do Peloton. I'd had 3 back surgeries, speaking of badly diagnosed health issues. That's a different conference. And my husband was like, you're a nightmare and don't get PT and you don't work out and there's a lot of problems with your general approach to self-care. And so he's a Peloton person and apparently a serious fan of Emma's, which is already a little creepy. And so he wrote to Emma, and Emma, being the person she is, this is maybe 5 years ago, wrote back. And he was like, my wife had back surgery. She won't do Peloton, but I think she'd really benefit from you. And Emma being like a cool Brooklyn hipster at the time, he was like, I feel like she'd kind of like want to be friends with you and like pay you to hang out with her. So how about you train her? And so he kind of like set up a play date, and Emma, it was like under guise of like, she's really cool. And then she was like, do squats and stretch like this. But then the fun part is she started talking to me about her business. And that is the best distraction for me, and actually will make me able to do squats, is if a woman talks to me about her business and her aspirations and all the things that she is capable of doing. And so Emma at the time had been a dancer, a model, and was like among the, I think, just definitely most popular, beloved Peloton personalities, and had a platform called Learn Lovewell, which was all her food and her hipster lifestyle and her cat on the surfboard and like her hot honey, her hot partner, and it was all that. And I was like, you should be a media platform. Let's discuss your contracts, which all made it very easy for me to work out because that was a profound distraction. So cut to Emma is again now a multi-hyphenate and has a TV show, website, Learn Lovewell, which is in our collective. We're very honored. And this big badass book, we're convincing her to have a podcast soon, and just an incredibly generous, authentic soul. And I can walk, and she tightened my ass a little. So thank you. I'm 51. But, and Amy Jo, I'm sorry, that was so weird, and it's gonna be, but Amy Jo is my new crush, and is the founder of Renegade, and is one of those people you meet who likewise seems to have a total Jones for putting women in front and center, finding the entrepreneurs, the athletes, the ball busters, the entrepreneurs, and putting them on literally in cap tables, on boards, and on stages, and is the hype woman for days and days and days. Also has 3 New York Times best-selling books, is an angel and VC investor, and doesn't sleep perhaps, which is not healthy, I'm told. But so they're gonna talk. I'm gonna leave, but I hope I could make it creepy for all of you. Okay.
Wow, that was an awesome story.
Right? How awkward, Sam.
We go deep fast here, so we're going to hop right in. Thank you so much for joining us and for She Media Collab for hosting this discussion. In the spirit of why not now, can you tell me, Emma, about a time when you had a big decision to make and you asked yourself the ultimate question that bridges that delta between idea and action, that important, quick delta, and you asked yourself, why not now?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to see you all. Really quickly, just want to raise of hands. Who has a Peloton or who has taken my class? Woo! Amazing. Y'all look amazing.
Keep coming.
So, yeah. So there's many moments in my life and career that I think I've had these moments where you're a little bit scared. You have to make the choice to take a risk and put yourself out there a little bit. Mm-hmm. One of those moments is definitely writing a book, and we can talk about that later. It's on pre-sale now.
Real quick, let's get
Comes out May 2nd.
May 2nd,
Yeah.
pre-sale. This,
Yeah.
this stuff matters.
Yeah.
If you can go and purchase pre-sale and share,
Yeah.
please do. As an author, we really, it matters, and it's amazing. So.
Yeah. And we are totally going to connect after this because she's a New York Times bestseller, and I'm going to be like, tell me all of your tips and tricks
what we do.
and how can we support each other. So, but the big moment that I think I really had this why not now moment was before Peloton. And I had first met the team at Peloton when I did their Kickstarter campaign. I was a model actress for their Kickstarter video. And so I met this small team of 10 or 20 people, John Foley, the CEO. I came in, did my modeling gig, heard about his company. I said, sounds cool, good luck. And then went off. I became a fitness instructor at a few other companies, but was watching them on the sidelines. And I was like, wow, they're really doing some innovative stuff. They're making headlines. They're doing some cool stuff. At the time that I reached out to them, I was a little bit lost in my career. I had taken some side steps where I was sort of confused. I wasn't really making the progress I wanted. And my partner, Dave, who's amazing, who's over here somewhere, there he is. He who is a white man in business was like, why don't you just email the CEO? And I'm like, Dave, that's not, like, I'm not used to that behavior, right? I was like, why would a CEO want to hear from me? Why should I? And he was like, just do it. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? And so in that moment, I was like, fuck it, I wrote the email, hesitated, and just hit send. And it was something like, hi, John Foley, congrats on all your success. If you remember me, I did the Kickstarter campaign. I've been watching all of your success. Like this, you're doing amazing things. If there are any opportunities, I'd love to hear about them. Hit send, and he wrote back in 20 minutes. And I was like, this is amazing, If I don't hit send, when am I going to hit send? If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
Why not now? Why not you?
Yeah.
If not you, then who? That moment of bravery. So sometimes we have that window where it's like, I'm brave. And then we have those windows where I am not brave.
Yeah.
So when we feel that, it's
Yeah.
like go time, right? What is the worst thing that can happen? That's like a renegade mentality. And it usually doesn't end there, but we green light and then the momentum. Then that energy kicks in. Okay,
And
so
I'll
then
say,
what happened?
Yeah, what happened was you think, I'm in, great.
We're good.
And he's like, love to hear from you. I'm going to introduce you to Robin Arzon, our head of instructors. She'll be, thank you, John, so much. I don't hear from Robin. She doesn't email me, right? And so that's another moment where I was like, oh, I've made it this far, but now what? So now I have to follow back up and, hey, John, it's me again. Still haven't heard from Robin, And then he's like, let me follow back up. So, and then again, there's always going to be these moments where, like, you have to be brave over and over and over again. Because it's not just enough the first time, but once you get a little win, once you have that first moment of bravery and a little success, it kind of drives you to the next one. You're like, well, I did it before. Why not do it again?
Exactly.
And spoke to Robin, and she was like, well, we're not hiring.
Back around, all right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And it's so funny because we have on our team, we call it NRN. We have a podcast called Why Not Now. And we reached out to Oprah, and her team said, well, she's filming right now in Australia, New Zealand or something. This was a few years ago. And so on the spreadsheet, we write NRN, not right now. But follow up later.
Yeah.
It was a no, let's be real. But no, not to me. It was an NRN, and you just, that consistent tenacity of, I'm going to be brave again. And then you can find it. It's a muscle, right?
Yeah.
And it is not for the faint of heart.
No.
Because it'd be easy to be like, they're not hiring.
Right. And it doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't
Right.
guarantee that you're going to get a yes.
Right.
But I also think what really helped me in that is I was a professional dancer, and I would go to auditions every single day, and I was told no 99.5% of the time. And so, but you keep going to auditions. So it's like one of the hardest jobs. If you're, an actor or dancer in the audience, then I know, like, it's so grueling. Mm-hmm. But it's really, Wayne Gretzky, you're not gonna, here's the microphone.
Oh, am I?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So if it's not now, if it's not you, who's it gonna be? Why not?
Right, exactly.
Is that working?
This one's working, but and that can
Yeah.
apply to if you're raising funding for your business. If it's a breakup and it's like a no on one side. I mean, no's come in every form, right? In every intensity in our life. So let's shift gears a little bit. You clearly got a yes eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
And one of the things we were talking about is just how I believe you don't brand yourself, you are yourself, and that creates your brand. And so as I'm researching Emma, right, and I'm talking to my friends and they all ride with you and know you really, really well, the consistent feedback in the Whisper brand, what people say about you when you're not around was, oh, she's the best, like by far. And I was like, why? Awesome. Why? Tell me why. And it was the authenticity. And that word gets thrown around. I know, it's authentic, da-da-da. But it was a genuine, your Whisper brand's very, very strong. How do you stay true to the decisions you want to make when you have so many options now? And there are times where you can make things happen versus let things happen. And how do you discern that?
Yeah, that's such a good question, and I think it's always a question I have on my mind, and it's always evolving. And I recently just got back into therapy, and that's a question that we're talking about in therapy.
Same.
Yeah. Because I really do rely on my community, my friends, my family. Like, I call my brother, my girlfriends, like I see my girlfriends on a weekly basis. Like, I really use my team and my people because I value their opinions. But there's a distinction because, and I was talking about this to my therapist, it's not I'm calling my friends to tell me what decision to make and be like, what do you do? Okay, I'm gonna do that. It's weighing their opinion versus how that feels against my intuition. It's weighing, if I'm having relationship issues, but I talk to my girlfriend and she's having her own relationship issues, it makes me feel seen, it makes me feel less alone, and it's not that like their relationship is better than my relationship or mine's better than theirs, but it helps me create little guardrails of trying things on and testing that against what's going on in my feelings. So I'm not listening to people and being like, I'm just gonna do whatever they do. It's listening to that option and knowing that that option is out there. How does that feel if I try it on? And I think that has always, I really use my community. I love gaining information about options out there and then weighing that against my feeling.
I love that. And you can't argue experience, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting if we look at like the mental, physical, and emotional awareness and being hyper aware, because we can't control it, but we can be aware of that feedback loop. What you're saying is when you allow some of the sacred minds in and hearts that you trust, it's a pretty safe place to be testing and experimenting versus some stranger telling their opinion, right?
Yeah.
And it's science. This is data, right?
Yes.
It's not just, it is literally strategic data, our intuition and that GPS. I love that. So what are you most excited about at this moment? What are you most passionate about?
Well, I'm very excited about, yes, it's almost spring, so I'm gonna start my garden soon. But also my book. This is another why not now moment. I have to say, a publisher reached out to me 2 years ago and said, I'd love for you to write a book. Have you ever thought about it? And I was like, what? Me write a book? Like now? Like I'm thinking, maybe when I'm 60 years old, I'll have some great stories to tell and I can write a memoir then, which why not do that then as well? But
You can and you
I can
will
do that. I
if
can
you
write
want, if
multiple
you're in the
books.
mood.
But I was like, you know what? If somebody else believes in me to write a book, why don't I believe in me to write a book? And so I went down that journey of calling all my friends and my family and saying, I got this offer, should I write a book? And I said yes. I said, why not now? Do it now, and the opportunity's in my hand, and why not go for it? And so this is a huge endeavor, comes out May 2nd. Gonna be doing a book tour, speaking in New York, LA, Chicago, a couple other locations. So
Makes a
yeah.
great gift for people. Buy
Yeah.
2 and make sure to leave reviews. It matters. Reviews, especially on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Audible, of course.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
of course.
I'm
Absolutely.
going to be recording my audiobook,
Very
reading
important.
it myself, so I'm doing that soon. Yeah.
Very important. Very important. So I'm a big advocate and believer of adversity is an asset in disguise if you leverage it hard enough, right? And so we were talking about health and loved ones, and I had a micro preemie born almost on an airplane. He was in the NICU for 3 months, and that 3 months, he's great and he's doing wonderful, but I learned more in that 3 months that I'm applying to life and business than ever. And I know you've been through your journey with, you know, fear and adversity with health with your mom.
Yeah.
Biggest takeaways navigating that, what would you say?
You know, I say in my Peloton classes, your strength shows up when you need it the most. And it's like we put ourselves, I mean, fitness is just a series of getting uncomfortable and then recovering over and over again. That's what an interval is. And so sorry. And
I feel like we should stand up and do some
I know,
get
we can
some
do burpees
movement
in a second, you guys. Get ready.
Yeah, we can play some music.
So in fitness, we are willingly putting ourselves in uncomfortable. When you click start on my class, you know that you're willingly putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation in order to get strong. And that's under your control somewhat. But in life, we go through uncomfortable situations, and that is when our strength shows up the most. And you don't even know it. You can't plan for it, right? And so when I learned that my mom was sick, you know, it's just kind of like you just go into like this, you know, solution, like solve the problem, operator mode, how can I help? And this was before Peloton, but I was teaching fitness. I quit my job, I moved home, I took over my mom's gardening business so she could move to Boston to get treatment because we didn't have treatment where we're from. And you know, it took a whole pause in my career to be like, it didn't even occur to me not to do that. It was just sort of like, thank you. I mean, what's more important than your family, right? So, and I was like, I can learn about gardening really quick. This will be fine. And I mean, I really just learned, you know, and I talk about this story. It's, you know, very personal and emotional for me to talk about this, but I talk about it in my book a little bit deeper. But just, you know, my parents are divorced, and in that moment, like, we all came together. I remember my parents like hugging for the first time in, you know, 12 years, and all of us just really coming together to try to problem solve and figure out how we can be there for my mom and how to get her through this challenging time for her. And you know, happy to report she's healthy now, and she's doing amazing. But just, I guess, what I learned really is just like how you just turn it on. Your strength shows up when you need it the most.
You get clear so quickly, don't
Yeah.
you? It was like, all right, game on. And what's interesting too is the folks around you who they can hold your fear at times. It's like we can outsource. What is that proverb? You know, joy shared is multiplied, and fear shared or sadness shared is halved or whatever.
Yeah.
It really is true. So when you look at the future, and you know, you probably have a pretty clear picture of the next several months, especially with the book.
Yeah.
That's no joke. But what do you try to plan pretty far out, or are you more of a, hey, let's see what unfolds in front of me?
I am definitely, in the past, have not been a long-term goal person. I am a short-term goal person because I am I believe that we should write our goals down in pencil because so much can change. And yes, you need to have a strong kind of intuition and North Star about like what you value, but when I even look at my career, when I was in high school, there was no such thing as a blogger. There was no such thing as a Peloton instructor or a virtual fitness instructor. Like, those things didn't exist. How could I have been a kid and said, I want to be that when I grow up, when it didn't even exist? So I'm so open to, what's out there, the possibility. There's so much that I don't know. So what I try to do is set short-term goals. Even, when I moved to New York City originally was to pursue dance, and I was like, okay, I'm going to work on this for a year. If I don't book anything or get an agent or like make some serious strides, I'm going to totally reevaluate where I am and what I'm doing. And it was almost at that 1 year mark that I ended up signing with an agent, and I was like, cool, this is what I needed to encourage me to keep going in this direction. This door opened, I'm going to go through it. And it's that's just sort of how I've lived my life, and it's worked out so far.
Well, and it's fascinating, Emma, because you look at your career and you look at the stages you've been on. So dancing, and then now, being on a stage is one of the scariest things for humans to do. Public speaking, and the reason more than spiders and death, actually.
Yeah, it's like heights. The most feared thing.
And why is that? It's because we don't want to feel stupid or embarrassed. That is why we're scared to death of that. But as you've embraced the various stages with your, let's call it influence, because it is, what's cool is you have the ability to be this, it's not about Emma, it's about her service. It's not a selfishness, it's the service of the message that you can deliver is endless, right? So the fact that you were brave is now going to be scalable to your audience to show up too. We were just talking about investing backstage a bit and your curiosity. And as a huge advocate of wealth creation for women, money in your own pockets and looking at it differently, there's a lot of education needed, right? I would love to hear an investing, like you do an hour of Peloton and talking about investing and educating, right? But you can share anything you want and have that influence. And I think that's the thing where you realize, this is my version, but what's your version too?
Yes.
And how are you, going to be able to kind of scale what your intellectual capital up here? And I love that you realize that it can be through any medium. But to be able to reach more.
Yeah, no, I'll share with you. I recently saw this video on social media, and it was this woman talking about how people are so scared of being, public speaking, but also being seen failing. And she lives by this mantra that's like, don't be afraid of letting other people see you try. And I think I identify myself as like a lifelong learner. I love trying new things. I love traveling to new places, seeing new cultures, trying new food, and I love sharing that because there's so much to learn. If you see me try something and I stumble a little bit, does that encourage you to try something? And maybe you'll stumble too, and you'll realize like we keep getting back up. It's okay if we fail. It's okay that you see me try something, and I'm not an expert.
I love it.
Because if you wait till you're ready to do something, you won't do anything.
Right. I love it. I mean, I'm an example of that now with people following on social for many years, and I'm relatively new in my sobriety journey. And I was like, should I share this or not? And I did, and it's amazing how vulnerable yet welcoming it is to people who are in the same spot, right?
Yeah.
It's seeing is believing, and we will slip.
Yeah.
But it's fall 7, get back up 8,
Yeah.
right? So if there's one thing, if you could go back to yourself that day, right before you hit send on that email to John, and it's like that bravery, and then you kind of shut the computer and you walk away. It's like, okay, all right, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And then refresh. Right. If you could say to yourself something in that moment before all this happened, what would you say?
Again, something I say in my Peloton classes is, acknowledge the fear and do it anyway. Just do it while afraid. Be scared shitless and still do the thing. You don't have to be calm and confident and an expert to move forward, to take the step. And I think just like reassuring her that's like, good, be afraid. Do it. Go send, shut your computer and go pace around the apartment a few times. That's fine, and that's all okay. So, yeah, do it while afraid.
Why not now? I love it so much. Thank you so much for sharing yourself, all of you. And this forum, this community, and the people you're sitting next to, it is so powerful. Follow She Media. This brand, what they're doing is real, and they genuinely are on a mission to make a difference. So obviously, you'll continue to work out with Emma, but make sure that you snag this book. If not, pre-order. It's really important the day that it comes out, too. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amy Jo. Thank you all.